Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdad that I'll eat whatever I want in this house because I'm paying for it in front of my stepsisters? I'm 20 male, currently living with my mom full-time since my dad is working out of the country. She has a husband and has 2 daughters from a previous marriage, 12 female and 14 female, and my half-sibling 6 male. My mom's husband is unemployed because he was abruptly terminated. Both of them do gigs here and there while he looks for a job, but they barely bring money to the house. I'm in my 2nd year of uni while working and getting money from my dad every month. I've been paying for most of my stuff. Clothes, hobbies, phone bill, etc. ever since I was 16, and when I turned 18, I began to pay rent and for my car. My mom's husband and his daughters are big eaters. I don't mind. I just started to buy my own groceries and they knew they weren't allowed to have any. Though I'd let my stepsisters take some of my snacks because I get their kids. But ever since 3 or 4 months ago, my mom has been asking me to buy this, buy that, buy this again. And I've been doing their groceries too. So I'm basically paying for all the food, plus rent, plus driving my stepsister to and from school and among other things. Yesterday we were having dinner together and I remembered I'd bought a watermelon a few days ago and it was almost all gone. But I could eat the last of it and it was okay. My stepsister said she wanted some too and I said there was barely anything left. And she could have an apple or something. She said she wanted watermelon and I said sorry. My mom's husband said kids go first, but I said kids have been eating watermelon for the past days and it was my turn. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Put it back, son. You can eat something else." So I just said, I'll be eating whatever I want because I was paying for it. Nobody said anything after that and I took it to my room. Later, my mom came and apologized for him, but said that I shouldn't have said anything in front of my sisters and was rude because I was being financially abusive with my family. So I don't know. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They are financially abusing you. Funny how good parasites are at projecting. If stepdad is so worried about what his kids eat, then he can get a job and provide them with food. What kind of man and woman is okay with being supported by a 20-year-old? If OP keeps this up, he will be doing it forever. Let them grow up. And I'm sure the stepkids already know, seeing as they never see their dad going to work. Not the a-hole. He was rude to you in front of everyone and you gave it right back. If you are paying for everything, you need to move out. I know, but at the same time, I'm worried about my stepsister and my baby brother. I don't want anything bad happening to them while I'm able to help. I just don't like being treated like a kid when I think I'm pulling my weight well enough. I get that, but consider that they might need you more in the future. You're an easy target right now, but well-adjusted people don't shove their weight around so much. Info. The money you have that you are using for bills and groceries that benefit you, mom, stepdad, and family, is the money your dad gives you or from a job? It sounds like your dad is financing his ex's family through you. Not the a-hole though. You aren't holding money over their head in a manipulative manner. You are being reasonable. A small part of it, yes. My dad is aware of this, and while he doesn't like it, he says it's my money and I get to do whatever I see fit. He gives me $150 less because he says that if I'm paying here, then he'll take some to put into a savings account, and I'm okay with it. Most of my paycheck go toward the house, because I have a good job and I do a few art gigs here and there too that help a lot. I only take $80 to $120 from the money my dad gives me to cover X or Y thing. You and your dad are both too nice for your own good. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister move in with me after her selfish decisions? Me, 18 male, and my best friend, 20 female, have our own apartment with each other, and had my sister, 21 female, staying with us for a while until we could all find more stable living situations. This was all going good, until my sister decided that she wanted to move out, without telling us. This caused us to be short on rent and caused a lot of emotional stress. She had decided that she would stay with a friend, since she did not want to pay rent. Me and my best friend decided now was the time to look for better, more stable living situations. My roommate decided to choose a studio apartment, and I decided to move in with some friends in the city. This is all going into effect soon. Last night, I got spammed with phone calls from my mom and grandmother, and once I finally answered, my mother had said, "You need to let your sister come back. She got kicked out of her friend's house." As I'm planning on moving out, I do not have the financial or emotional capabilities to have her back into my home. I responded with, "Absolutely not." Continuing through that 2.5-hour conversation, I explained that she needs to learn from her mistakes, as she was never punished as a child or shown what real-world consequences look like. I was not letting her back into my house. My mother continued to say, family comes first no matter what, and that is just the stupidest thing I have ever heard. People are people, and people are a-holes. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit, for a bit more context plus answering some questions from the comments. 1. Mom can't take her in due to her living across the country. 2. Sister has been babied and treated like the golden child my entire life. 3. Mom has called 5 times today trying to guilt trip me still. You're the a-hole to yourself though for getting suckered into a 2.5-hour conversation about it, when you only need to state the facts. When your sister moved out, you can no longer pay for your current place. You've had to make other living arrangements. There's no longer a room for your sister. The 2.5-hour conversation was mostly me getting screamed at and trying to explain my points but not getting a word in. Do not tell them your new address. Not the a-hole. 100% this. They sound like the kind of people that would literally have her just show up at your door in the middle of the night. Get a P.O. box if they need to mail you anything. Not the a-hole. If family comes first, what did mom say when your sister screwed you? And mommy's the one responsible for raising her own kids. Tell her to do her job. Well, sister is the golden child, so nothing. There you go, Opie. You owe them nothing. They haven't been family to you all this time, so you can happily not be family to them as well. You could lie and tell your mother that you were evicted because of your sister bailing on you, so you're already out of the apartment and couldn't host even if you wanted to. You could also mute your mother's phone calls for the time being. Yes, but then my sister is not learning from anything. By getting rejected into a home due to selfish/careless acts, you learn to stop making those acts and take responsibility for your actions. You want your mother and sister to know that you could take her in, but you won't because of how she treated you. You want your sister to be punished and you want her to know that you are the one punishing her. You're mad that she screwed you over. That's understandable, except I'm pointing out that people like your sister and mother won't get it. They're just going to harass you into taking her back in, which is why you need to cover your behind. Stop trying to get personal payback. Let your payback come from having a successful and fulfilling life on your own terms. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepfather that he had no right to share information on my pregnancy on social media? I'm currently expecting my first child. I don't live close to my mom or her family, so we have group chats going where I keep them updated on my pregnancy, since I'm not on Facebook/Twitter/Instagram. I had asked them not to share anything. Then my stepfather makes a post on Facebook announcing he's going to be a grandpa, that his baby girl is expecting, and shares not only the ultrasound photo, but also the name we have chosen for our baby. A friend of mine on Facebook told me about the post and shared a screenshot with me. I called him up and asked him what the hell he was thinking, and how dare he do it when we had explicitly stated not to. He told me he was sorry and that he had let excitement get to him. Then he told me I should be happy because baby's going to be loved and has their grandparents all present and excited for them. I saw red because my dad died several years ago. So no, my baby will not have all their grandparents in their life. They're missing the one who would probably have been the best. I told him he was being insensitive and I needed to end the call before I said something I would regret. The next day he sent me a text apologizing again and saying we should be closer now than ever and he feels like I am taking stuff out on him that is not his fault. A few hours after that, he called and told me I wouldn't have reacted as badly if mom had shared. I told him I would still be mad, but he especially had no right to share. That he is not my father. That he did everything he could to make my dad's life hell before he died. And that I would always blame him for my dad's more sudden death. The background on that is my dad started suffering from a number of health complications about 2 months after my mom remarried. My stepfather tried to get dad to surrender custody and just visit, but let him take over being the dad to me. Dad refused and continued being an active participant in my life. Stepfather tried continuing to take over the role. Then he told my dad he would adopt me once he was gone, so I would always have a dad. Dad was still alive and still able to do stuff with me. And here was this guy who already tried to get him out of the picture, telling him he would take his place. Dad didn't make it too long after that. He went down rapidly. My stepfather was never shy about the stuff he was saying, so I always knew. The adoption never happened. I spoke to the judge and said I would never want my stepfather to be my father. I never called him dad. Never loved him or said I love you to him. I have never hugged him. I have never ever celebrated or honored him on Father's Day. So when I told him that he especially had no right, and that I did blame him for how my dad died, he told me I was being unfair. He told me how cold it was, that he has been in my life for 22 years now and I should embrace him and give my child the gift of a loving grandparent. My mom then called after and told me it was mean to tell him he had no right as though he were a stranger. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and even without the added layer of him trying to replace your dad, when your dad was still present in your life, it would be a terrible thing to do. You don't announce somebody's pregnancy before they get to share their news, and you don't share details they trusted you with, but don't want shared. You would be absolutely right to be angry with anyone doing this. He wanted to steal Opie from her dad. That failed, so now he wants to steal grandkid from her dad. Personally, I'd go on a rampage, clarifying that the guy is her mom's husband and is not a grandparent nor will ever be a grandparent, unless kid chooses at 18. And I would say why. That he doesn't care about Opie or the kid. He just wants to hurt the deceased dad. The mom deserves blasting for enabling this behavior. And mom needs to be put on info diet and only told things when/if they go public. But that's me. I'm overly protective of people I care about. And doesn't matter if they're deceased. Trying to use children for sick ownership games? Oh hell no. Opie isn't an a-hole. If anything, Opie is being probably too relaxed about things. Not the a-hole. It wouldn't matter if he was your birth parent. He still violated your trust by posting. As it is, this is just a continuation of him placing his own wants above you. He didn't care that you loved your dad. He didn't care that he hurt you by hurting your dad. He didn't care that you didn't want to be adopted. And now he doesn't care what you want for your own child either. It seems like he cares more about you and your child being a prop in his life to make him seem like such a great stepdad/grandpa than he actually cares about you and your feelings. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not being interested in my friend's children's development and not lending money? I have been invited to my friend's house last night for dinner after we haven't seen us for almost a year. Their children are 7 and 13, and the 13-year-old daughter is from his previous relationship. The mother is out of the picture. They don't know where she is and they haven't seen her since the breakup. He remarried, and they have had a son now, 7. It has been a rough 2 years for these friends of mine. They have been on and off jobs, needed to change apartment, and downgraded quite a bit. I have been helping out already with single payments for utility, insurance, and the odd small medical emergency they had. Their daughter has had a dream to attend a certain school, and there is a yearly fee to pay. This is not the US, so it's only a couple of thousand a year, which is a lot anyway. I know she wants to go there, and have encouraged her to do the scholarship route as they are eligible and just need to fill out some forms. At least they'll get a huge discount, if not an entire scholarship. She has started at that school, but the parents haven't paid the fees yet, and because of their own shortcoming, haven't filed any papers. They're working a lot of hours, but it is possible. Or at least send a babysitter or even me to the school to give the papers, but they didn't. Now, yesterday, they painted this picture of sadness and being the victim of the world, and I didn't buy it. The daughter started to cry and they told me I am hindering her development, and it would just be borrowed money until next year. I kind of feel I won't get that money back ever, and it also feels like they use me as their backup option. It really does feel like they slack off on purpose. I very openly told them that I do not care and that this doesn't fall into my responsibility. He then added that I easily could pay for it and I agreed, but I still won't. I was very frank during that discussion and it seems my honesty was a bit too much for them. We have been friends since childhood, but these fees aren't news, and they had a lot of time to prepare for it, save up, or even ask earlier. During the very quiet last glass of wine, I contemplated and offered a monthly payback plan, starting January next year, just to see their reaction, to be honest. I think it is a fair option. It'll solve the issue for now and they can decide how much to pay me back each month. They told me they'd think about it, and I received a message today that I am an a-hole for putting them in a situation of even greater debt, and that I am playing with them knowing their situation, putting even more pressure on them. I called up the school to inquire, and they also offer various plans to pay, so it very much seems my friends simply wanted me to pay the school. Anyway, I'm curious to know if I am the a-hole. Not the a-hole, and you need to cut these people out of your life. You do not owe anything to anyone. Guilt-tripping people is a highly manipulative strategy. They're going to continue to use you for your money. This, OP, they're guilting and using you to get what they want. I'd respond back, because it seems that the help I'm giving currently isn't appreciated, and that you'll always want more. I'll no longer be covering your other bills starting next month. Please do not reach out to me to get more money from me or to try and guilt me. I will simply block you. I will also tell you that you don't respect my boundaries, have never appreciated me helping you with your bills, and only value me for my money. This was intentional. They always planned on guilting OP into paying for an unnecessary and expensive school. And using their daughter into manipulation is despicable. These people aren't your friends. A potentially better school for the daughter is a worthy goal. But before they ever seek help from others, they need to first help themselves. Not bothering to even apply for a scholarship/aid is simply inexcusable. Not the a-hole. Your friends are using you as a slush fund. If they can't afford to send their daughter to this school even with scholarships, they should have been upfront with her about that. Now they're going to make you be the bad guy, since you're refusing to pay, and rightfully so. Regardless of how long you've been friends, you need to cut the financial ties ASAP. Stop bailing them out and see how long your friendship lasts. It doesn't matter that you have more money than they do. You made different choices. It doesn't make sense to finance their life even when you can, because there may come a day when you're financially maxed out, and I don't see them having an issue with cutting you off when you're of no use to them. Am I the a-hole for reminding my ex-stepdaughter that I wasn't her father and not committing to an earlier promise? When my ex-stepdaughter was 14, she said she wanted to study abroad in the UK, but it would be too expensive, so I told her that I'd start saving for that then so that we could actually send her there. I opened a savings account the next day for that, and it was supposed to cover tuition, housing, and some allowance. The next year, her mother and I divorced. I still tried to maintain a relationship with her, but that ended quite sour when she said I wasn't her father, and I should stop being involved as if I was. I said alright, and that the ball would be in her court then and we never saw each other again. That was until 2 days ago. She, 19, came knocking on my door. I invited her in. We sat down and she asked me if I remembered that promise I'd made her when she was younger. I asked which one, and she said the college fund one. I said I did remember, and she said she wanted some of that money right now to cover expenses and that she'd use the rest to actually study abroad next year. In case you forgot, this was the first time we'd spoken for 4 years. So I told her that since we lost contact, I repurposed that money a long time ago, so there was unfortunately nothing there to give her. She was rather unhappy about that, and said something around the lines of, "Figured, you were always full of it. So much for I'll always be there, Dad." A call back to when we told her about the divorce and I said I would still be in her life and she could still call me Dad. This obviously upset me, so I responded with the fact that she stonewalled me after the divorce and reminded her that I wasn't her father like she'd said, so she had no right to complain. She left afterwards and I got a call yesterday from her mother cussing out for ain't being it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's pretty ridiculous of her to expect that the money would still be waiting for her after pretending you didn't exist for 4 years. She made it very clear that she didn't want a relationship after the divorce, and yet she still expects to reap the benefits you promised when you were close. And she isn't even going abroad. She just wants his money and will maybe go next year. Not even then if the grapevine says she's pregnant. Money is going to raise the baby. I would put money on her mother sending her. Not the a-hole. The divorce closed the bank of Dad, especially after she pushed you out of her life. You, as your stepfather, I'll save for your tuition. Divorce happens. She, you're not my father. Be gone. Adios. You, okay, call if you change your mind. Hint, she did not. 4 years later, she, where is my money? The entitlement is really, really strong with her. Not the a-hole. She's just being opportunistic. She knew how to find you, right? She could have sent a message to you anytime in the past 4 years but waited until she wanted some cash. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling off my wife because she promised my time for this coming weekend? My wife, 35 female, and I, 36 male, have a 5-year-old son. We both work full-time, but my wife sometimes needs to work on weekends, maybe 2 to 3 weekends a month. I enjoy the time alone with my son when she is at work on weekends, as I think it really gives us time to bond, just the two of us. But my wife has a habit of arranging playdates and other activities for the days that she works on weekends. I find it incredibly disrespectful to me, and I have told her many times that I don't like her doing it. This coming weekend, she has to work on Saturday. Last night, she told me that our son asked if he could have some friends from his kindergarten class over this weekend. She agreed, and they invited a few friends over to play on Saturday. When she told me, I got mad at her. I told her it was BS that she promised my time like that when she isn't going to be here. I told her it's not right that she offered me to supervise multiple kids like that without talking to me first. She asked if I had anything planned, and I told her that no, I did not have anything planned, but that's not the point. She said that we shouldn't be discouraging our son from wanting to be social and we should be happy as making friends. When she realized how upset I was, she offered to cancel with the other parents or try to reschedule. But she said that our son was really looking forward to having friends over and she didn't want to disappoint him. I felt like that was a low blow because then it makes me the bad guy if I tell her to cancel. So I told her that we can go ahead with the play dates, but that I am taking all day Sunday for myself. I told her that I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but that she's going to be fully responsible for our son that day. I told her that I don't care if all I'm going to do is sit and watch football all day, but that she gets to be the one to watch our son. She got mad at me because that's her only day off all week and she just wants to relax too. I told her that's not my fault, and that if she wants to promise my time on weekends, that I should at least get to decide when I want time for myself. She told me I'm being petty, and that my son and his friends will be fine playing by themselves for the most part. She said it will only be for a few hours, and she already told the other parents that we aren't going to be feeding them dinner or anything like that. So all I have to do is make sure no one gets hurt. I told her that next time she wants to arrange a playdate, that she can schedule it for when she's able to at least help or talk to me first. I reminded her that this isn't the first time she's done something like this, and that I'm tired of her scheduling my time for me like I'm her employee. She thinks I'm blowing this out of proportion, and since I don't have anything planned, it's not that hard to just sit around the house and watch kids play for a few hours. Not day whole. How would she feel if you volunteered her time before even asking her about it? I think the best way to handle this, if she's unwilling to budge on at least talking to you first, is to give her a taste of her own medicine. You're equal partners, and while care for your child is implied and joint, that doesn't extend to dropping other kids on one another. It's rude as heck, and not respectful of each other's time. You're justified in your irritation. At least get her to a point where she discusses it with you first. He did. He volunteered her to watch her own son that Sunday so he can get some rest too. And she got angry. He's not the a-hole. She can dish out his time, but he can't do it to her. They don't seem to be communicating well, but she needs to respect his time as well. That was a more petty and reactive way to manage it. It doesn't really establish the point for her. These situations tend to work out better if you can recreate the full conditions almost entirely, let her get mad about it, and then draw her attention to the immediate parallel. Doing this while she's already feeling defensive over the situation will just make her more defensive and doesn't really establish the point in a constructive manner. Psychology is our friend. Not the a-hole. My husband and I did not volunteer each other for things. I don't even make myself an appointment that will leave him on the spot on an evening or weekend without consulting him first, and he does the same for me. Yes, I'd like to set up a playdate for X time. Let me check with my husband first to make sure we have a clear schedule, and then doing that is not that hard. Right. Who volunteers someone for something, not knowing if they even have plans, or don't have plans? It's not your life, it's theirs. My wife did this to me exactly once in our relationship where she didn't consult me beforehand. What she didn't know was that I had a roof install scheduled for work. I had to delay and ended up losing the contract just asking for it. Lost about $3,000 because of the situation. Not the a-hole. I actually think you should have let her cancel the playdate. She's doing this because she gets all the credit and none of the work. All the parents are thanking her and telling her how thoughtful she is. She gets to feel like a good mom while you do the work. Not cool. This will only stop when you actually start making her cancel these plans. Until she has to feel the embarrassment of going back on her promise, she's never going to stop. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend she should work less if she wants more time with her husband? About 7 months ago, my friend Tori, 34 female, began to vent to us about some of her marital problems. Namely that her husband, Jack, 35 male, doesn't have time for her. At first, we let her vent and just listened to her and gave her support.
I know that Jack is a stay-at-home dad that works part-time from home, and Tori's pretty big into her career. At the time, I didn't question how things were when she got home because I just wanted to listen to her. Since then, she's had the same complaints every time we see her, and some of our friends started to offer her advice. Like tell Jack how he was hurting her feelings, and tell him what she needed from him. It sounded like good advice. This year, our kids are in the same kindergarten class, so Jack, myself, and another friend have been taking turns carpooling the kids. Whenever I drop their kid off and take them inside, I would always see Jack finishing up cleaning, laundry, cooking, and other household chores. Tori also now has 2 nights a week where she either comes to one of our houses after work, or she goes out with her coworkers after work. Yet when we see her, she still has the same complaint about Jack not having time for her. This last time I saw Tori, some of our friends had started to talk down about him to her about the whole situation. I asked Tori if Jack is still doing most of the childcare and housework while working from home, and she said yes. I asked her if she gets paid overtime for working so many hours that they need the money, and she said no. She's on salary, but she wants to get to the next level. I told her it sounds like she had been misrepresenting the situation. And it doesn't sound like Jack doesn't have time for her, but she may not be making time for him. And if she wants time with him, she should cut back on her hours so she's home at a reasonable time. And maybe not go socialize 2 nights a week while he's at home. Tori started to cry and tell me I was shaming her for having her career, and our friend agreed. I said it wasn't like that at all and that there was nothing wrong with her having a career. But if all the other advice hadn't been working after so many months, maybe she needed to look at how she was also contributing to the problem. Now they're both upset and barely talking to me. Was I so wrong to tell her that? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments.
Not the a-hole.
She's doing the same thing to her husband what men used to do to their wives. It wasn't okay when they did it to us, and it's not okay to do it to them. You can't prioritize your work and social life, then complain that your spouse who is filling in all of the blanks doesn't have time to prioritize you. Running a household is a lot of work. And if a working woman has a stay-at-home husband who is doing that work, he deserves the same respect that we all would expect a working husband to give to a stay-at-home wife. This right here. My husband and I are working parents with a new baby, and I'm back from maternity leave and attempting to recoup my lost progress and try to make a play to manage a new restructured department. It means lots of tired days at work, so he has been pitching in more at home and with baby. But we have our 2 nights a week of movie date nights after the baby is asleep to prioritize our marriage, and we schedule having our respective me and social time so we don't burn out. It doesn't sound Eopie's Fred is prioritizing anything but herself. You aren't shaming her for having a career. That's a straw man. The situation seems to be exactly how you're seeing it.
Not the a-hole.
It doesn't sound like Tori's even trying to make time for her husband. Her husband sounds like he's got a full plate and is supporting her advancing her career. I feel like she's falling into this trap of having it all. The kids, the career, the relationship. Having it all is a myth. There are only so many hours of the day, so many days in a year. If she wants to advance her career, that's fine, but it will come at the cost of time with her family. She has to accept that. Not the a-hole. Your question was completely legitimate, and frankly, overdue considering that she complains about the same issue over and over again without trying to do anything to change the situation. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out of my house for being crazy? I'm 22 female. I'm a stay-at-home mom/student to a 3-month-old boy. My husband is a line cook, so he's not earning the world of money right now. I don't work because childcare in my area would cost more than what I would earn in a lot of jobs available to me. My sister Jane works part-time, but she only pays the internet bill. She's been living with us for 6-ish months now since my parents are at their wits' end with her mental illness. Jane has orthorexia, OCD, bipolar, and severe anxiety. She's got this idea in her head recently that the brand of formula I feed my son is going to harm him. She keeps trying to get me to change the brand he's on. I can't, because the brand I use is the cheapest, which is all we can currently afford, and the baby tolerates this brand amazingly well. My sister thinks I should be breastfeeding the baby, but agrees that the ship has sailed. She still loses her mind every time I go to make a bottle. She's in a mild manic episode right now, which are usually manageable and tolerable, but this one takes the cake. In the 15 freaking minutes it took me to shower while baby was napping, she managed to get rid of most food she thinks is harmful, as in opened the containers and dumped them on the floor. A lot of that was baby formula. She said if I continued to feed it to my son, he would die. And if he died, she'd be responsible since she did nothing. I lost it and ripped her a new one. I told her she's absolutely insane and that she belongs in a secure home or something where she can't harm other people, etc., etc., etc. I told her she's super crazy and to get the heck out of my house before I destroy everything she owns to see how she likes it. My parents dropped over the half-used spare formula from their house, but they think I'm being harsh on my sister and that even I've gone a bit too far here. My husband agrees, but also agrees with me that our son needs to eat and my sister needs help. He thinks I went too far insulting her mental health. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister is your parents' responsibility. Your son is yours. You do not owe anything to your sister, and she can move back to your parents and she can pay rent or something with that money she is making at her part-time job. A young baby is hard to take care of, and you don't have to give your sister the care your parents should be doing. Your parents are the a-hole and should never comment on you having to deal with your sister. What the heck is wrong with them? If I were you, I would not kick your sister out before having a plan where she could stay due to her mental health. But your parents should take their responsibility as her parents and find her help. Your focus should be on the baby, your husband, and yourself. Parents kicked her out first, then get mad when someone else can't tolerate her behavior? And in the US, there is a formula shortage, and doing this would literally cause severe harm. What if you can't replace their formula? That is severely mentally ill territory to risk a baby's food source. It's not dramatic to lose your patience/leniency when she does something so deplorable due to her own issues. Ask your husband when and how you're supposed to get new formula. Then ask him if you overreacted. OP, don't let her back into your home. This is too much for your own family unit. Your parents only think you're being too harsh with your sister because they don't want her moving in with them. Especially with the formula shortage over the last 2 years, I would go into a rampage if anyone destroyed my baby's source of food that was scarce and expensive. I truly hope your sister can get the help she needs, but you're not the one who should be obligated to help considering you gave birth a few months ago. Your parents are a-holes for insisting you care for her while you are juggling an infant, school, and home. Not the a-hole. This isn't just a manic episode. That's psychosis. That's a full-blown delusion. Not the a-hole, your infant isn't safe around her. What happens when sister decides that OP is killing the baby and that she needs to take him somewhere safe away from OP? Not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I won't be asking our dad to go above and beyond for her? My sister is getting married in a few months. She asked our dad and mom's husband to walk her down the aisle and share the father/daughter dance with her. Mom left dad for her husband when I was 6. My sister was 7 and our brother was 5. It devastated dad because he worked so damn hard and thought he had a happy marriage. Instead, his wife was cheating with a guy at work and ended up married to the guy. I never liked how things happened, and will be honest, I have never given my mom's husband much of a chance. I never really saw my mom the same way again either because of how she handled it. But my sister loves our mom's husband and considers him a second dad. So what happened is, she told our dad they were sharing the role and he was all okay. But then she asked him to put aside his hard feelings and not just share that, but deliver a toast with him. Spend the morning getting ready with him to let her have both of them there in those moments. She also wanted him to pay for a joint party, sort of like a second engagement party, where they shared a spotlight and dad's dime. He told her no. He said he loves her and he had to accept she loves mom's husband, but he still hates mom and mom's husband for what they did. And he cannot say he would be good company if he has to spend all that extra time with him. She called him selfish and said he would appreciate that mom's husband was a good father to us. When dad wouldn't give in, she asked me to talk him around. She said that if not for me, then for a man who only won over one of his 3 step-kids, and he will only get one chance to be included as a father and get this kind of love. I told her I loved her, but what she is asking from dad goes above and beyond, and I would not try and talk him into doing this. She told me I was hurting her. I told her she was hurting dad. That she was entitled to love mom's husband, to want what she wants, but she cannot honestly expect dad to just be okay with all this, and she cannot expect me to force his hand. She called me an a-hole and said I am letting dad make this about him instead of her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister is out of her mind. Congrats to her for being able to accept the changes in her life.
Big congrats to you for standing your ground. Your dad is absolutely right in his feelings and should stand his ground. She's asking too much. Also, OP, your sister is wrong about your mother's husband. He hasn't been a good father. If he was, he wouldn't have been in an affair with your mother breaking up a whole damn family complete with kids. Not today, home. Since your sister is getting married and about to start her family, ask her how she would feel if her fiancé leaves her in 10 years for some broad at the office, and then 20 years later her son asks her to share the motherly duties at his wedding with a woman who helped destroy her family. Gross. You're poor dad. He sounds very generous, loving man to have even accepted her requests to share the walk. Your father is being more than gracious in sharing the walk. It seems your sister wants everyone to get along like there's no history between them, and wants to use her wedding day to bully people into how she wants them to be. It's weird because it's like her sister just wants to change history. She wants everyone to feel like a big happy family even if it isn't so. Or even just pretend. This is like some weird psychological thing going on with her. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking out my daughter after what she did? I have 2 daughters. One is Amy, 33, and the other is Lisa, 31. Lisa got married a couple months ago. She had a hard time in life. She had surgery and got addicted to opioids at 15. She struggled through school for a while, ended up doing a crap ton of things she wasn't proud of, but once we managed to get her proper help, she was fine again. In context, the things she did whilst an addict were really bad. I'm talking ruining family reunions, causing arguments around a house, the works. One example is when Amy was graduating. Lisa didn't want to go, and insisted we both go without her. But this was when she was at the height of her addiction, so we called her grandparents to watch her, and they would take 10 minutes to get to the house. She warned us that if she went, she might cause a scene, but Amy told her to just shut up and come, and she should at least be able to sit through one of the most important moments of her life. Well, she ended up projectile vomiting all over the next 2 rows, then proceeded to break down and wail/cry because of the embarrassment. I left with her whilst my husband stayed to support Amy. Obviously, her sister was furious at her, and when we got home, she promised Lisa that when her graduation came, she'd ruin it for her. Lisa had been off the meds for long before her graduation, and begged us to not let her sister come. We obliged, and told Amy to stay at home or do something else. She was not welcome at the graduation, and graduation went fine. There were a ton of more incidents in the 2 years where she was an addict, but in the end, she got clean, went to a good college, and got a great job. She's well past her addiction now. Now, because Amy never got to ruin her sister's graduation, she's been waiting for another big life moment for her to ruin. If it's relevant, Amy never got to go to college, so that high school graduation was her only graduation. Lisa graduated from college, but only me and her father were able to go because of the distance. Now, the moment that Amy had dedicated herself to ruining is her wedding. Lisa is often sensitive at life events. She has some issues she's working through with a therapist on the side. She thought that Amy would be over the high school graduation issue, and Amy pretended like she was. But then in the dressing room right before Lisa was meant to walk down the aisle, Amy took her aside and started insulting everything about her. I had gone to the bathroom at this time. She called her fat, she said her dress made her look like a pathetic cheap woman, that her husband was constantly looking at other women's bodies. She went on and on until Lisa was on the ground in tears. Her makeup was ruined, no one was there to fix it, and the wedding was ruined. Lisa walked down the aisle still crying. After this, I told the family what Amy had done, and no one's talking to her. I kicked her out and told her not to come back, because she was a vile human being who can't let anything go. She has nowhere else to go now because she can't afford any other house. Am I the a-hole? From the picture you've painted here, it sounds like you've alienated Amy for the last 15 years or so, while giving Lisa the extra attention and support she needed. And it sounds like you've consistently, all 3 of you, sided against Amy on every issue. While I never would have done what she did, I honestly can't say I wouldn't be harboring serious resentment against all 3 of you as well if I had been in Amy's position. You straight up said she wasn't wanted at her sister's graduation. Whatever she was feeling over the embarrassment Lisa caused her at what sounds like the only major event she's ever had to be about her, you don't think that didn't seriously compound the issue? Damn, you're the a-hole. Lisa was a 15-year-old who accidentally got addicted to opioids. A tragedy, really. And while in an incredibly vulnerable state, she made grave mistakes. But she was still only a child. Amy wasn't wanted at a graduation because she literally said she would ruin it, which could truly affect Lisa's recovery. And although you are right that Amy suffered too, at the wedding she, a 33-year-old woman, acted with such cruelty and evil. ruining her sister's wedding because she couldn't forgive something her 15-year-old sister did, which wasn't her fault really, getting addicted with pills given by doctor for medical reasons. While I do believe the parents are a-holes for not properly dealing with it all, she fully deserved to be kicked out. Also, I think it's worth noting that Lisa didn't want to make a scene at her sister's graduation and didn't do it on purpose for attention. Her vomiting over 2 rows of seating is because Amy pushed her into attending and refused to wait 10 minutes for grandparents to turn up and look after her sister, who was feeling unwell. If she were ill with norovirus or food poisoning, the same would apply. She wasn't feeling well, was pressured into attending, and predictably suffered an embarrassing accident. Not to mention, it sounds like most of the times the parents have sided with Lisa against Amy were purely because of this ongoing quest for revenge that Amy has been driven by. You're the a-hole. Not because you kicked out Amy, but because you kind of failed as a parent. Don't you realize that Amy wasn't only upset about a graduation? She can't let it go and was holding a grudge for all these years because it's not just about a graduation. Having an addict in the family causes stress, discomfort, pain, and suffering. And you failed to realize the impact it had on Amy. That's on you. A lot of people here slamming the 33-year-old for being a grown adult, but she obviously never matured. There's a lot of missing context in Opie's story. I'm sure Amy was the glass child, as someone posted above, and continued to be through adulthood. I bet Opie focuses on Lisa every time they visit, asking her about her sobriety and taking an active interest in her life and education to help her maintain sobriety. Which is great for Lisa, but I'm betting Amy did not get such attention as she didn't even get to go to college. I bet, but your sister is an addict, she needs this, was something she heard often. Both girls need deep therapy. Everyone sucks here, but Opie is a special a-hole in my opinion. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that I'm not his replacement wife? My female 16 mom passed away recently. My brother, male 14, and dad are so devastated by this tragic loss, and we are all struggling. I've basically found myself handling all chores and work around the house. My brother is too traumatized, he hasn't been talking since the funeral, and my dad hasn't been lifting a finger and do a single thing. He started making requests, from cleaning the messy living room, he sleeps on a couch, to picking up dirty laundry to doing dishes, cooking or ordering food, walking the dogs, vacuuming, doing repairs, mowing the lawn, washing the car since my brother stopped doing it. I'm too exhausted oftentimes. Mom used to do the chores that I used to help. But I have school and after-school commitments, and my dad keeps negatively commenting on how I get things done, and compare me to mom like how much time I take to make breakfast, etc. Yesterday he woke me up at 6 a.m. even though he told me to skip school, and wanted me to make breakfast. I scrambled eggs and prepared other dishes, then went to wake my brother up. I sat at the table, and once dad sits down, he looks at the scrambled eggs and goes, "What is this? This is not the right way to make scrambled eggs. Your mother used to make perfect scrambled eggs. Did you not learn anything from her at all? How are we supposed to survive if you can't even properly make scrambled eggs?" Then he looks at my brother and says, "We're doomed." I snapped and loudly tell him I'm not his replacement wife to expect me to do this and that for him. He looks at me stunned, and my brother rushes out immediately. Dad starts telling me how cruel and insensitive what I just said, and how out of line I was. I replied that I was too tired to make the perfect scrambled eggs my mom used to make, and that maybe if he as a parent had tried to learn, we wouldn't be suffering right now. He gets up, throws the towel, and walks out. My aunt came to visit, and when I told her, she went off saying I should have never said that to my grieving dad, and that I should be ashamed of myself for talking to him like that. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Expecting your kids to help out more after losing one adult in the house is fine. Expecting them to act as another parent in the house is mistreatment. My condolences for your loss, Opie. Thank you so much for your support. I did help when mom was alive, but now it's just me doing everything around the house. I obviously cannot ask my depressed brother to help, and dad just expects everything to be done, although it doesn't work. Just don't. He's the parent. Tell him to start acting like it. If your brother gets to grieve, so do you. Don't tolerate that sexist nonsense. Your family needs grief therapy immediately. He didn't go when my uncle suggested it, and stopped him from taking me and my brother, claiming that my uncle is preventing us from grieving naturally and processing our emotions in a normal way. Not today, home. There's this thing called parentification. Your tale is a textbook example. Your dad is an insensitive a-hole, and your family dynamics cannot be brushed aside with a "but they're grieving" excuse. He lost his wife, sure. Your brother lost his mom, yes. But did you suddenly not lose your mom as well? Or does that not count because you emerged into the world with two X chromosomes? Reset your boundaries with your family, and do not allow them to overstep again, or this will be the rest of your natural life. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for my husband's funeral? I know this sounds weird, but let me explain. My husband and I married in 2018 after dating for almost 2 years. Shortly after getting married, my mother got sick, so we moved out of state so that I could take care of her. He was not too happy about this, but he moved with me. He didn't like the new state we were in, and he quickly stopped working and providing for our household. It got to the point where I was working 2 jobs and still caring for my mother, and I was fed up. I told him that I couldn't carry on like this. He told me that he never wanted to move in the first place, and that he would be on the first flight back home. He told me he would leave the one car we had as a parting gift, when in reality I was the one paying the car note and insurance. He left the state and I filed for a legal separation. The state I was in required that you were separated for a year before you could officially file. I waited my time and tried to get papers sent to his mother's house, the place I knew he was because I have family that told me that's where he was. He claims he never received them. My mother got better and I decided to stay because I had found a really great job that turned into an actual career. I tried on 4 different occasions to have him serve the papers, but he always dodged me. I got so discouraged that I gave up. I've completely moved on and I want to start anew with someone else, but this is just looming over me. I was in the process of getting a lawyer when I got a call from his aunt saying that he has passed away, and basically it's up to me to plan the funeral arrangements. I feel like this is BS. This man left me and even had a child with another woman, and I'm expected to foot the bill because I'm legally married to him even though I tried multiple times to end it? Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be part of any of it? His family wants a burial, and if this is something I have to do, I will cremate him and have his family do what they want with the ashes. I don't give a crap if they want a burial. They don't want to pay for it. Thanks in advance for the advice. Now for the top comments before the little update. Not the a-hole. Donate his body to science. Not the a-hole. You could play a modified version of the 2 card play. Card 1, they deal with all the expenses for whatever funeral they want. Card 2, you claim the body, have it sent an undisclosed mortuary where you arrange for him to be cremated, and then you have the ashes legally disposed of in a location that will remain undisclosed. Their choice. If they want to play the "you're the wife" card, you can do whatever you want. What they want won't matter in the least. This is the way. Make it very clear to them that cremation with no service is all you will pay for if they plan to force this on you. Not the a-hole. It might be worth checking with that lawyer right now to see if you have any legal obligations, since you are still legally married. This might mean that you also have legal rights to anything like a survivor's pension or insurance, or any portion of the estate if that existed. You can definitely refuse the family. You don't owe them a funeral. If you somehow have a legal obligation to pay for disposal of the body, then inform the family that you will be paying for the most basic, no-frills cremation package with no service, no wake, no plot, no headstone. They are welcome to pay for any additional services that they want, even though if they could afford this, they probably wouldn't be reaching out to you. On the upside, a cremation might be cheaper than lengthy divorce proceedings. Updates and a little more info. I've decided to get in touch with a lawyer to see my options. We didn't have a lot of assets. We sold our house before we moved out of state. So as far as I know, we didn't have a will or anything. But if there's something I do get, I'm almost certain it's not much and I would rather it go towards his daughter. She's not even 1, and I spoke with her mother and she was under the impression that he was divorced. They had even filled out paperwork to get married, but she left it up to him to file it since she was pregnant and tired, and of course he never did it. I just want to cut all ties with his family and live my life. I don't want to fight family members for money. So I will give them one last time to make their own arrangements. And if they refuse, I will do what I want with the body.